When fierce Piedmont spring gusts roll through, the pressure on a mature oak canopy is immense. It only takes one saturated patch of soil and a 60-mile-per-hour headwind to bring down a 50-year-old tree. You wake up the next morning, step outside, and find a massive trunk uprooted from your neighbor's yard, lying across your property line and roof. The logistics of removing a tree of this size are brutal. Between emergency crane rentals, professional chainsaw crews, heavy hauling, and the initial structural repairs, the bill easily eclipses $4,000 or $5,000 before the stump is even ground. It makes perfect logical sense to look at that mess and think, that was their tree, rooted in their dirt, so their insurance is going to write the check. But operating on that assumption sets a trap. Waiting for a neighbor's carrier to take responsibility delays the cleanup, exposes your home to further weather damage, and ultimately leaves you holding the bag for the entire out-of-pocket cost. To understand why, you have to look at how property law works, specifically here in North Carolina. The state operates under what is called a negligence standard. This means financial responsibility isn't based on where the tree grew, but on whether the owner acted recklessly. If a perfectly healthy pine or oak is knocked over by a sudden windstorm, a lightning strike, or an act of nature, the law views it as an unavoidable accident. No one is legally at fault. Because your neighbor isn't legally responsible for the weather, their liability coverage will not pay out. The massive bill to cut up that trunk and fix your roof falls squarely on your own homeowner's policy. In a strict liability system, ownership equals responsibility. But here, gravity and wind dictate the claim. Once the trunk crosses the property line, it becomes your structural emergency. Physics determines where the branch is landing, but the biological health of the wood determines who actually pays the invoice. Your first line of defense is a standard HO3 policy. HO3 is the most common type of homeowners insurance, designed specifically to cover sudden, accidental damage to your property from covered perils like heavy wind. But those policies have strict internal caps. While they will cover the damage to your home structure, the actual debris removal, cutting and hauling away the massive trunk, is frequently limited to just $500 to $1,000 per tree. In 2026, North Carolina regulators approved a 7.5% phased increase in standard dwelling rates, pushing the baseline cost of protecting your property higher, and that comes immediately after last year's hike, creating a compounded pressure on rebuilding costs totaling 15% over 2 years. When you combine climbing premium rates with strict caps on debris removal, relying on an unreviewed, outdated policy practically guarantees you will be writing a large check from your savings account to get your yard back. There is, however, one specific path to shifting that invoice back across the property line. It requires physical proof that the tree was already a hazard before the storm hit. We're talking about visible rot, entirely dead branches, or a severe unnatural lean. You have to prove that your neighbor knew, or reasonably should have known, that the tree was going to fail. The absolute best way to establish this is with a paper trail, like a written letter or email sent months before the storm warning was ever issued. If you have that evidence, your insurance company can initiate subrogation. Subrogation is the legal process where your insurer pays your claim first and then aggressively pursues your neighbor's liability policy to reimburse themselves and recover your deductible. Proactive documentation of a decaying trunk is the only leverage you have to unlock their liability shield and protect your own rates. When severe coastal and statewide weather events strike, local cleanup and repair resources are instantly overwhelmed. Once you confirm your family is physically safe, your immediate priority is your camera. You need clear, 360-degree photographic evidence of where the branches landed and the condition of the wood, captured before the first chainsaw ever starts. Resist the urge to start dragging heavy debris to the curb. Unless it is an active safety hazard, the claims adjuster needs to see the undisturbed scene to accurately assess the structural impact. Next, get 2 or 3 written estimates from licensed tree removal services. This establishes a clear, undeniable baseline for what the cleanup actually costs in your specific market. Then, call your insurance agent. You want your claim logged and processing before the regional system gets completely backlogged with thousands of identical calls. The speed of your call and the exactness of your photographs directly determine whether you get a full payout or a frustrating denial. Here in Surry County and throughout the mountains, Towering old-growth trees are just part of the landscape. That makes this specific risk a daily reality. To defend against those 2026 rate hikes without sacrificing your cleanup coverage, the most effective strategy is aggressive policy bundling. By combining your auto and home policies under one carrier, you can frequently unlock 10 to 25% in immediate premium discounts, effectively offsetting the state-approved dwelling increases. The team at Bill Layne Insurance in Lowgap builds these custom defenses every day. They analyze your specific property risks to ensure your debris removal limits are high enough to handle a massive oak. You cannot stop the wind from blowing, but by auditing your coverage limits and securing the right local policy today, you neutralize the financial shock of whatever falls tomorrow.